Hello and welcome to Real Sim Racing's Full Throttle Cup Series, sponsored by Gary Mercer Trucking and brought to you and presented to you by MW Productions. I'm Michael Keaton, up in the booth with me tonight, Evan Pasoko, and of course Michael Willie down on pit road tonight. It's the last race of the segments, race number 8 at Texas Motor Speedway, the Great American Speedway, and we're set for 120 laps where qualifying has just been completed, and here's your starting lineup. Row number 1, the 55 machine of Dan Murray. How about that? Mr. Murray gets the pole here tonight. 60 will line up to the outside. That's John Hickman Jr.
After a 15-minute group qualifying session, row 2 at the inside, third starting position going to belong to Jonathan Cadell, the number 11 machine, and Rhett McBride to roll the number 20 off P4.
Fifth spot belongs to Eric Brundage. To his outside, Steve Gottschalk.
John Abbott in the 10 machine going to be starting 7th, and Bobby Terrell in the 9 starting 8th.
Thomas J. George rolls off 9th, and 10th belongs to Adam Benefield.
Brian Harvey in the 66 machine going to be rolling off 11th on row 6, and Nathan Little alongside him in 12th.
Glenn Campbell, the 44, makes up 13th, and 14th quickest was Mark Bratcher.
Scott Sinley in the 68 Ford going to be starting in 15th spot, 16th belonging to the 78 of Brandon Peterson.
Next row, the 42 of Scott Stencil and the 30 of Jason W. White.
Jamie Moore, the 89, going to be starting in 19th. 20th going to belong to Kevin Linden.
Joey Gattina in the 14 machine rolls off 21st tonight, and 22nd quickest, the 22 car, John Milwang.
Michael Grain, the 8 machine, going to be starting in 23rd. 24th going to belong to the 27 of Guy Snyder.
Next row brings up the 51 of Doug Mannon and the 03 car of Nathan Bowers.
Keith Brooks Jr. in the 32 going to roll off in 27th spot. 28th going to belong to the 25 of Aaron Grosskopf.
29th brings up the 65 machine of Ed Williams Jr. and the 53 car, 30th, Jose Malbrand.
AOV in the 35 machine going to be starting in 31st. Last car to take a time in the field, and Eric Arnold in the 31 going to be starting 33rd.
And of course, bringing up the rear for tonight's event, the number 29 machine of Brennan Mercer. And of course, here we are again, the last race of segment 1 in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series live here on Monday night. Getting set for 120 laps at the Texas Great American Speedway. We'll get to the results from last week at Darlington. Or excuse me, 2 weeks ago at Darlington. And then we'll talk about point standings and where they're at, and hopefully where they'll finish tonight as the pace car gets set to take that famous left-hand turn off onto the pit road. And we will be taken to the green flag again by the number 55 car of Dan Murray, taking us live.
Pace car hits pit lane. The green flag is going to fly. We are off into the races, and the 55 of Dan Murray kind of checks out. And it is going to be battled for the number 2 spot. Inside is the 11 of Jonathan Cadell, started inside on row 2. The number 3 spot, and was week on by, is the 60 of John Hickman Jr. loses 1, 2, 3 spots now as he goes down to back straightaway and has company with Eric Brundage.
So far, a great start for everyone. Dan Murray, especially a great start for him as he's checked out. Now, Evan, we got a little bit of side-by-side racing here back in 4th and 5th. The 94 car, Eric Brundage, in the 4 down low. John Hickman Jr. stepped up high as he'll now lose that position as Steve Gottschalk in the 91 Chevy Nerf machine comes up and follows in pursuit, still single file. The top 10 as they run with Abbott in 7th and Thomas J. George. There's caution now out on the speedway at Texas. Couldn't quite make the complete lap, and we've got a big one that's collected about 5-6 cars.
Yeah, Doug Manning, one of the cars that gets torn up in that, but one of the machines that you stay sideways is the 22 of John Milway, and it all starts with him coming out of 2, single file, loses the handle on the car, doesn't get into the inside wall, and he might have saved it, but he came right up into traffic and nailed the 51 machine. 32 gets some heavy contact, 25 in it, and about 4 or 5 cars going to pile in there down the back straightaway and going to put us under a quick caution here, as a lot of those cars pretty torn up after 32 cars were able to come and take the green flag.
Man, John just got wicked loose coming off of 2 right there. And there's nothing. If you're the 51 car of Doug Manning, or if you're the 32 car of Keith Brooks Jr. or Aaron Grosskopf, I mean, there's nothing you can do there. I mean, the windshield, you can only see so much happening in front of you, and it just a split-second reaction is all you get, and that's what they got. Now, speaking of fun in the sun right here at Texas, let's talk about Darlington. 118 laps where Dwayne Vincent would not lead the most laps, but he would lead 44, and I guess the best one, right? The best one of all, the last one. And Dwayne Vincent would pick up the win for John Abbott and claim the victory at Darlington. John Higman Jr., part of JGR, Joey Container Racing, would finish second, but it wouldn't be easy. He would start from the 15th spot. Thomas J. George would start up there in the top 5 and get it done, finishing 3rd last week. Nathan Little in the Stroker races would finish 4th. Also another one of those drivers who had to come from the back. 14th starting position for him. And how about this? The man who started on the pole, Eric Brundage, did finish up with a great 5th place spot, but he was really the dominant car at Darlington. 73 laps led, nearly the quickest lap, if not the quickest of the night, and a great run for him.
Yeah, let's take a look at 6th through 10th. 6th position was Rhett McBride, able to come home with a top 10 finish for the Real Deal Sim Racing team after starting outside of the top 10. Glenn Campbell came home 7th. Kyle Tarasca coming in as another substitute driver, able to walk away 8th after starting on the outside of row number 1 in the 2nd spot, front row to start the race. Steve Gottschalk able to walk away with a 9th place finish, and rounding out the top 10 with 1 lead lap going to be Brendan Mercer, made up a considerable amount of time. He started furthest back in the field out of all the drivers that finished top 10 after starting 18th, able to walk home and round out your top 10.
So where does that leave us coming into Texas Motor Speedway in the final segment of the Real Sim Racing 4th Throttle Cup Series? Well, it leaves us with a nice little points battle. In fact, maybe a 10-position tight points battle here coming tonight. Eric Brundage is leading the way. He's up 10 points on Rhett McBride. Both drivers are here tonight. In fact, Eric Brundage is currently running 4th, and Rhett McBride is currently shown on the racetrack. Oh, I was handed last week's piece of paper. Rhett McBride is not here. Now we'll have to get word to see whether or not someone's subbing for him. But folks, so far, no. Excuse me. Rhett McBride is running 3rd. I just overskipped him right in front of Eric Brundage. I went straight to Eric Brundage in 4th and just skipped Rhett McBride. So how about that? A tight point battle, and they're running tight on the racetrack, 3rd and 4th right now. Anyway, moving on. Jonathan Caddell sitting 3rd in points. This is also interesting because he's 21 points back, and he's sitting in front of both of those drivers that I just mentioned. He's in 2nd, Evan. So we've got 3 out of the top 4 drivers right now on the racetrack. The 3 in top 10 in points are right there, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Brendan Peterson is 14th on the racetrack right now. He's in 4th, and of course Thomas J. George working that 8th position right now. He's 5th, 30 back. So he's about shy of a miracle from winning this one.
Yeah, right now as the lights go off in the pace car, we double up for an ensuing restart. 6th in the points, Joey Chatina running 20th in the race right now. 35 back, 52 back. 2 guys actually tied for the number 7 spot. Nathan Little, Steve Gottschalk, Kevin Linden, 9th, 55 back. And 2 more cars, 59 points back, assumingly tied for the number 10 spot. Guy Snyder and Scott Stenzel. The difference that has Eric Brundage up in the top spot is he is the only driver in the top 10 in points to have a win this season. Also has 4 top 5s compared to Rhett McBride's 1. So that's where the consistency is coming from. That's where Brundage sits right now. Rhett McBride 10 points back. If you throw away bonus points, needs to beat him by 10 positions or more to have a shot at that championship.
And how about this? Both of those drivers, Eric and Rhett, sporting the Fords. And Jonathan Goodell, of course, running that Chevy that you see up there on the high side of Texas, with Dan Murray taking us back to the green here for the 2nd time tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Let's get racing, Dan.
Pace car down the pit road. Green flag is going to fly, and Dan Murray up at the stripe, and he has about a nose over Jonathan Cadell on the outside lane. Cadell gonna slide in line. That's what he wants to do, because we saw what happened to John Higman Jr. as he slid back, getting trapped on the outside lane. It looks like everybody in the top 10 single file. Now Thomas J. George with a move to the inside of Steve Gottschalk for P5.
Yep, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it now. I guess it's kind of the old saying, get what you can take. As he moves around Gottschalk now, he's gonna stay in line and try to see if he can catch that 5th place car. John Higman Jr. Nice solid green start tonight here for the second time. Single file all the way back to 17th and 18th where Guy Snyder runs.
And a battle going to shape up for P3, the 20 of Brett McBride, who we just talked about, gets a little bit sideways, opens up the door for Eric Brundys. Brundys able to get around him at a turn number 4. He's going to bring John Higman Jr. with him. So John's going to move now up at a number 4 spot after starting second. Again, he had some trouble trying to hold down that outside lane on the dropping green flag. Lost a lot of spots. Going to try to climb back towards the top of this restart. A lot more tame. The top 10 were pretty much single file by the time he made it to the middle of 1 and 2.
A lot of good-looking race cars on the surface tonight of Texas, the Great American Speedway, where we've got a pass for the lead, and here he comes diving into 1. Jonathan Cadell up under Mr. Dan Murray. He may bring the points leader with him. That's Eric Brundys now looking up underneath the green and black Chevy of Murphy.
Yeah, with these Gen 6 cars, the inside is definitely the way you want to be, not as outside favoring as maybe a B car or a truck. The inside is where you want to be. You saw Jonathan Cadell open a hole. He brings Brundys with him. Those guys go to advance to 1 and 2, and the 60 of John Higman Jr. takes a look, but not close enough to Dan Murray, so he's going to have to hold on and maintain position number 4. And let's see what Brundys could do. That Audi 4 car after starting 5th. He's up to 2nd. Looks like he's trying to close in. Your current championship leader. One way to ensure that there's no way Rhett McBride can win the championship is if he wins the race or finishes top 10. The 94 is doing just that, riding 2nd, and he put the pressure on Cadell there in turn 3, unable to get the run that he wanted out of turn number 4. But about a car like off that top car.
Absolutely, and man, look at Brundys with the run right there that he gets right there coming in through the corner. Now looking underneath, possibly, as Jonathan Cadell takes the lower line. Yep, here comes Brundys, your points leader, battling it out with a 3rd place guy.
And Eric Brundys able to get around Jonathan Cadell and going to go to the number 1 spot. The 94 of Brundys, 13 laps in. He's going to jump up to the top spot. We wonder about the guy that he's battling with. Rhett McBride is in a huge cluster of cars. The 55 of Dan Murray gets around Jonathan Cadell. The 20 of Rhett McBride is on the inside of the 60 of John Higman Jr. They're going to go down to the turn number 120. He's going to clear the 60 out of 1 of Thomas J. George, going to be brought in tow. And once again, 60 of John Higman Jr. just gets stranded on the outside lane, and all that progress that he made up is going to get blown out of the water as he now drops back into around position number 6.
Nice little battle there between the 2 orange race cars on the racetrack, as you mentioned, Thomas J. George and John Higman Jr. Oh! As Higman Jr. gets nearly every way but loose, coming off 2 right in front of Adam Benefield in that 85 machine. Evan, let's take a look back here in 16th and 17th where Brandon Peterson, one of the drivers in the top 5 in points. He's 4th, battling with Guy Snyder, who I mentioned with a bronze trophy. Something about a bronze, something or another. Kudos and high fives to Guy Snyder for that as he works that Ford of Brendan Peterson as Guy nearly gets loose there off 2. It looks like a lot of guys may be struggling coming out of that corner there, Evan.
Yeah, turn 2, much like we saw in Darlington, is going to be one of those calamity corners where the car gets real sideways and you can't really save it, because most of the time you're going to see Guy go head on in the inside wall. It's because he's going to overcorrect, and if you undercorrect, you're going to go into the inside wall. So very tough and a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic. The 20 machine is going to want to make a move for P2. That is Rhett McBride rather on the inside of Jonathan Cadell for 3rd. Can't get it done for now. And as we are on lap 16, these guys are going to race it out. We're going to step away for a quick commercial break. You're watching the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series live on MW Productions. More from the Great American Speedway right after this.
Hey, how come that went out? Back live here, Texas Motor Speedway, where we are still green flag racing, and Eric Brundys is continuing to lead the way here. Fifth place battle now shaping up.
That is Thomas J. George on the outside lane, the one machine trying to pinch down the 60 of John Higman Jr., who has a wiggle in the corner, able to hang on to it. That forces the one machine of George up high. Can't quite clear him, I don't believe, now out of back straightaway. Does the 60 pull in line? Yes, he does. Does not try to keep it on the inside, and those guys going to single file out for the time being. But a lot of these guys in line, including Steve Gottschalk, Bobby Terrell, Nathan Little, all bumper to bumper, very close together. Not the case up front anymore, as Eric Brundys, again championship points leader right now, has been able to check out to about a second lead over Dan Murray, who sits second, at about another 1.5 seconds back from Murray to Adam Benefield from third on back. So top two trying to spread out a little bit from the field. It's going to be a battle for fourth, as Rhett McBride wants that spot from Cadell. He's going to get it in 3 and 4.
He does. And Cadell continues to go backwards. Remember, before the break, Jonathan Cadell would be your leader at Texas, and now he's just kind of falling back. Now, these two orange drivers can't separate themselves. Thomas J. George in 6th, John Higman Jr. 7th. They just can't get away from each other. And, of course, they've got Steve Gottschalk right behind them, and here comes Bobby Terrell, sitting in that 9th spot. In the 41 car, Nathan Little will round out your top 10 here. Still green flag racing, where we've got 26 drivers on the lead lap. The 27th place car, Nathan Bowers, is already 2 down with some damage from that car. 33 drivers would make the green flag start tonight, including Brennan Mercer, who's been battling some electrical problems, and he's back out trying to get some laps plugged in here.
You got Keith Brooks Jr. off the track, Doug Manning off the track, Milwain and Grosskopf all out of this race. And those are positions 33 through 30th respectively for all of those drivers. And again, we had that big wreck there that brought out the one yellow flag that we've seen so far this evening that collected a handful of cars. So definitely some of those guys have been collected in that. You talked about some drivers suffering from a little bit of electrical issues. This evening's race is 120 laps. Eric Brundys up in the front of the field just took lap 27. So we are getting there, and with lap time averaging just under 30 seconds, if this green flag run continues, they can really knock off a couple of laps here and really get down to the later stages of this race, and then we'll see what happens. But typically, the way the trend goes, whether you like it or not, is a string of cautions that will typically fly at the end of a race that makes it always a shootout to the finish. Fun for the fans, not what the driver that checks out wants to see up at number one spot, but definitely the field. I can't really say they've spread out. The leaders, again, they've checked out a little bit. They got about a 2.3 second lead over the cars fourth on back, but I mean, look at position. You take a look anywhere just outside of the top 10. You got guys like Stenzel side by side and bumper to bumper with guys like Simley and Abbott. They're all there, not side by side at the moment, but everybody bumper to bumper and definitely in position to possibly make any pass at any moment. That's one of the things that's about a green flag run. You can work and work and work, spend 20 laps to get around the guy, methodically pick your way around him. You make one move and 3 guys can get right on by you.
Yep, that's really sometimes the case too. It hurts to watch that. Look back here at this battle. You just mentioned Stencil with Brian Harvey there. As Stencil sporting a nice little paint scheme tonight, the yellow stripes, making the driver.com as he now looking under Harvey maybe. Harvey, of course, sporting the Hippies Paint Shop, Fearless Racing Chevy. Oh, look at Stencil sneaking underneath there, coming into 2, exiting 2 now. Scott Simley in the mix. John Abbott in the mix. That's your battle for the top 11 there, the 11th spot. As John Abbott, remember last week, sub-driver Dwayne Vincent wins at Darlington. He now looks on at 3 drivers battling it out here, coming into turn 1, getting mighty tight there.
Denzel's going to get it. He threw it way down low, came up off of 2, was able to get in front of the 66 of Harvey. Now caution, going to fly. We heard a couple guys over the radio making some contact. Jason White in the 30 machine is actually going to go around, and he just nailed the wall coming through it again, folks. This isn't really a trial, it's a quad oval. Has 2 distinct dog legs. Came by the stripe.
Wow.
And not sure if something broke in that car or what, but he just drove straight into the wall. And here comes another machine up at full speed, the 65 car.
Yep.
Plows into Jason White. That's Ed Williams Jr.
Let me ask you.
65 hangs on, but that was strange.
Let me ask you something. If you're Ed Williams Jr. right now, I mean, do you think that you could have been put yourself in a worse spot? I mean, talk about being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I mean, it seems like that just always happens. It's like you're driving along your own pace, and then it's like somebody does something like that, and it's just like, bam, your night's done. It happens so quick.
Whoa.
It's like, yeah.
And now, Jason White, and this actually is going to go all the way back to the back straightaway. I don't know if we can get a replay on this, but coming at a turn 2 on lap 30, Jason White is coming up on a side-by-side battle, gets a huge run, tries to go to the inside of the 8 car of Michael Gray, gets sideways, nearly spins the 8, gets down on the apron, which is why he was off speed, and he may have been getting up through the gears not paying attention, which is why he was off speed, and which may have caused him to get into the wall. So I know the 30 was a little bit off speed, and that's maybe one of the reasons why Ed Williams Jr., instead of just kind of being weary of a guy that's drifting a little bit high, just tried to get around him as fast as he could, knowing that he was so much slower. And, I mean, you put that 65 0.2 of a second faster or slower, and he's not involved in that incident. But sometimes that's just the way it goes for you.
Yeah, man, talk about a tough break there. So the drivers have just pitted. We're going to step away, take your commercial break. The man out front still leading Texas Motor Speedway's Great American Speedway race is your points leader, Eric Bundy's in that 94 Pennzoil Ford.
In a world where survival is the only rule and feelings have no place, where winning is everything and weakness is fatal, how much difference can one person make? That depends on the person. In every life, there is a line that cannot be crossed without leaving everything behind, except faith. Once that step is taken, there is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny. There is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny.
We're back live here Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, sponsored by Gary Mercer Trucking, presented to you by MW Productions. As we're getting ready to go back green, Eric Brundy's again leading the way here tonight. Jamie Moore just pulled his car behind the pit wall area. His day may be done. As 24 drivers remain on the lead lap. Jamie Moore was actually the one sitting in 24th on that lead lap. So now there'll be only 23 drivers with Glenn Campbell, the Rhinestone Cowboy, as we used to call him back in the 2013 days, is 23rd. And so here we go, Evan, back to green flag racing. 35 laps will be completed at the stripe this time. So under that 100 mark.
The green flag is going to fly. Brundy's checks out once again, and it is going to be a battle for second. 85, Adam Butterfield going to get the advantage over Dan Murray side by side from there on back. Cadell's in the spot that he doesn't want to be. That is the outside 20. Slides up, nearly gets into him as Red McBride got way loose there coming out of turn number 2 at a 91. He's going to go inside behind them. That's Steve Gottschalk going to try to capitalize as John Higman Jr., man, this is the third time tonight that he just gets stuck at the outside lane and just continues to drop through his field. As now the 68 of Simley puts a number on him as well. At a 66 of Harvey wants to do the same, and the 60 going to make his way in line.
How about that? The JGR Chevy of John Higman Jr. making things exciting here at Texas. And look behind him, Bobby Terrell just took over that 66 car's position of 10th, so move him up the top 10. Look at Scott Simley now under Gottschalk, taking over that 7th spot. As we go back green here at Texas, things starting to heat up here a little bit. Not quite to the halfway mark yet, but we're working on it, Evan. We've seen 2 cautions. One big one, and one that just collected 2 drivers. And of course, the unlucky driver being collected up in that was Ed Williams Jr.
Yeah, and we are past the quarter-way mark in this race. Not quite to the halfway, but again, 120 laps going to be on the board for this race. And the track 1.5 miles long, so 180 miles. Once we reach lap 60, we'll be the halfway point, so about 22 laps away from that point. But again, the 2 cautions have kind of split up what were turning out to be pretty extensive green flag runs. And 2 incidents that were caused for completely separate reasons. And so there's no trend to that, nothing to really keep an eye on in specific at the moment. Everybody in the top 10 is single file down. There's a little bit of movement, and it's going to be a battle for the 11th spot, the 60 of John Higman Jr. He had the checkup coming out of 2. Now as we enter turn 3, the checkup for the 66 of Harvey. That opened the door for Scott Stenzel. Stenzel trying to make it work on the inside, and his Chevrolet can do it as the 60. He loses a lot of speed. John Higman Jr. trying to protect this position. And again, man, can't get it done. Opens up the door. The 4's going to get out of the way. That's lap traffic. 46 can't get it done. But, man, John Higman Jr., outside lane has been his demise again. He started second outside on row number 1. Sits 12th right now, and I can guarantee you that he's lost all those spots on the outside lane, just having trouble keeping that car down on the bottom of the racetrack, which in turn opens up the lane for the other cars, and the outside lane really not able to compete at this point with those guys on the inside.
Looking back here for a nice little battle shaping up with John Abbott's machine in the 44 of Rhinestone Cowboy Glenn Campbell, a Ford versus Chevy there. Also in the mix is 2 other drivers, Kevin Linden in the Lowe's Cobalt Chevy in the 8 car, Michael Gray, remember him? He nearly, he almost got caught up in a wreck earlier with that one guy going way down real low. Guy Snyder having some difficulty, losing a spot to Glenn Campbell. As Kevin Linden appears to be going backwards as Joey Jatina had just passed him going into 1. Man, it looked like Kevin Linden was sitting still there.
Yeah, and this track is a very wide racing surface. It's also a very fast track. You don't normally drop below 160 miles an hour in the turns. So it's very fast, very racy, and because of the fact that it's not a really thin track, you go to a couple of 1.5s, the groove really small here. In theory, you can run anywhere. Obviously, the inside is the way to go. Because the track's so wide, you try to give a little more gas. As soon as you go too much gas on it, get a little bit too much speed to not make the corner, you really got to back out of it, and that's why you'll see a lot of guys all of a sudden be real slow out of the corner, and those guys have to make an aggressive move to the inside if they want to make the pass, or just stay in line and give that guy a little bit of a bump, remind him that you're there if you feel like making the pass really not necessary at this point. Top two on a racetrack pulling away once again. Adam Benefield is now at number 2 spot after starting 10th. Last time it was Dan Murray in second, but Benefield is there, and he's able to hang on a little bit better with Brundys so far right now, about 2/10 off of him, almost 3, as he sits about 4 or 5 car lengths off at a 94. Now caution flag going to fly, trouble on the track.
Oh!
It is going to be down the back, and it's the 10.
It's the 10 car. John Abbott going to be a solo spin here. He gets down into the apron, coming into 2 there, coming out of 2. Locks it up, can't quite keep it off the wall, and John Abbott will put that left front fender and the left rear into the inside fence down the back stretch at Texas Motor Speedway. Man, he just couldn't keep it down.
Yeah, and as soon as he got those left side tires, again, turn 2, it's going to be the second time we've seen it tonight. As soon as you get those left side tires on the apron, you're done. You get it all the way, turn to the right. Only issue is that the car wouldn't respond in time. As soon as it caught grip, it's when he pancaked the left side of that race car into the inside wall. And unfortunate for him, the car's now single file behind a pace car as we are under our 3rd caution of the night here, working lap 46. Eric Brundy's in the number 1 spot, so the gap of about 1 second that I was getting to there with the leaders pretty much extinguished. Does not matter anymore because we are going to group them back up. Question will be, do we see anybody down pit road for pit stops? Looks like the most of the field is going to merge down towards the concrete apron here, and they're all going to enter pit road. Brundy's going to enter in first. Let's see if we see any tire strategy calls and who's going to lead them off.
This is kind of where the crew chiefs make their money, if you will, and who can get the best stop, who can get into the pit stop better. The 85 car comes squealing into his pit stop, doesn't overshoot it. Nice spot there. As Eric Brundy's pretty much the same there. Right side's going up. No one overshooting the pit stops, at least in the top 10 here that I've seen so far. So left sides will more than likely go up on all the machines. Oh, except for Eric Brundy's. He's out and away with just right sides only. Can you believe the call on the 94 machine? Oh!
Yeah, big battle of cars there, and you look behind a 94 of Brundy's, who does lead us off pit road at a 4-tire stop in a number 1 spot. Look at the battle for a second. 5 cars, and good thing you can kind of merge into each other a little bit there, phase through each other in the sim, because otherwise they would have blocked the exit of pit road with a pile up. The 78 is going to come off second. 41 able to get off in the number 3 spot. 85 leaves pit road 4th, and the 1 in 5th, but they were pretty much 4 wide, maybe 5 wide coming off there, put on a show. When it's all said and done, Eric Brundy's will hang on to the number 1 spot. The car in front of him under caution right now is the 65 of Ed Williams Jr. Remember, he got collected in the incident going just past the start-finish line not too long ago. He is 1 lap down, so he's waiting to the 1 to go. He will take a wave around to get a lap back. Same with Eric Arnold. Right now, Eric Arnold sits 1 lap down as well, so he will look to get up to the tail end of the lead lap also as they run right now on the racetrack. Light still on the pace car right now, working under caution, lap 46.
Yeah, you're right, Evan. I went back and looked at Eric's pit stop there, Eric Brundy's pit stop. Look, that crew got that car off the jack so quick that it seemed like the left side tires were, they were just up for a split second and back down again. What an excellent pit stop, and that's what you need. You need a good pit stop. You need to not fly through the pits, get a speeding penalty. You need to not do that. That's the first objective, right? Not to get a speeding penalty coming in or halfway down or exiting. We've seen so many cars do that, so many drivers do that. And Eric did it. He did what his crew needed to do, what it needed to do. And that's why he's out there leading this race right now. Very consecutive also. It just doesn't speak for this race. Eric Brundy's this far along in the season has been so consistent. I'm really tempted to start calling him Mr. Consistency. But I don't, we're only 7 races, well, we're 6 races in. This is your 7th race tonight.
And the end of segment 1.
Yeah.
So the next segment is going to go from race 8 to 14, and that's got a couple big races in it. Richmond to start it off, Talladega. You got Kentucky to close it off. Michigan, Pocono are in there. That'll be an exciting time for sure. Quick update, obviously, on the championship battle that kind of been tracking a little bit here to try to keep tabs on as they run right now. Eric Brundy's championship points leader right now, up at the top of the field as the lights are off on a pace car. So he comes into this evening's race again, 10 points over Rhett McBride. Rhett McBride trying to take a look on the racetrack right now to see where he rides. And he is sitting 9th, so it's about a 19-point lead. Give a bonus point to Brundy's for leading. About 20 points right now separate the championship, but a lot more racing to go here this evening. Nowhere near done yet, as at a handful of laps we will be at the halfway point, but we're doubling up, coming through 3 and 4, looking for another restart.
Coming up for another restart. Nearly halfway home. As Eric Brundy's will take us back to the green flag.
Rolling good.
And he will leave the field at a standstill. He gets off to about a 6 to 7 car length lead off into 1, but the battle's back in 2nd and 3rd with a 41 car. And Brendan Peterson are battling it out as now Thomas J. George of the 1 car sneaks behind up underneath him.
It is a big group of cars for second on back. The 41 and 8th and Little, the big winner in it all. Going to get the spot, does the 1 challenge. Thomas J. George to the bumper, to the inside. He's going to make the pass for 3rd as the 41 Little no speed at a turn in 4. Here comes the 85 of Adam Betterfield now around for the number 3 spot as well. 55 Dan Murray also, and Nathan Little, who 1 lap ago right at this part of the racetrack was sitting 2nd. Oh, and he nearly gets loose again. Cadell to the inside. One more machine trying to get around him as well. A big group of cars. That's the 20 of Rhett McBride. The 41 still dropping like a rock in a river, man. The 41 is going to go from 2nd. He's outside of the top 12 already as the inside lane is absolutely freight training Nathan Little.
Yeah, Nathan Little going dead backwards.
Wow.
Hey, so was the 78 car, Brandon Peterson. Remember him battling Thomas J. George? He went about the same distance as now he'll work up underneath the 41 car of Nathan Little. Little's just all but loose right now, struggling with that race car. He can't get the low line. He can't get it, Evan.
I called him the big winner this time. Oh, as the 78 cuts through the grass, they would hang on to it. Nathan Little from 2nd to 18th in less than 2 laps. He got stuck in the outside lane. And the other car that he almost held up on the outside, you talked about him, that's Brandon Peterson. Peterson got loose at a turn before, cut through the grass, and the first dog leg down there, down through the quad oval on a front straightaway, and was able to hang on to it and rest in position number 16. Meanwhile, Brundy's has checked out to a 1.2 second lead, and everybody bumper to bumper still pretty much throughout the top 20, no side-by-side at the moment. A lot of close racing right now as these drivers have their eyes set on that halfway point, which we here in just about 6-7 laps.
Edging ever so closely to the century mark. Halfway home. All single file on the racetrack currently now in Texas as things have possibly, Evan, settled back down. Looking back, though, at the John Higman Jr. 60 and the 42 of Scott Stencil, Scott was right up on him, and then he just lost the momentum. And it seems to me, Evan, that momentum here at Texas, if you lose it, if you let out the throttle just a little bit, it's like you're just going backwards, like hitting a brick wall, brick wall of air or something.
And that's why we're seeing a lot of shuffling. Position change going to happen. P10 side by side. Scott Stenzel, man, he is not afraid to go to the inside and try to make that move. And he just did it on the 60 of John Higman Jr. Higman trying to get down in front of the 66. Harvey's there. Brian Harvey to the inside. And he battled, though, goes way low in a quad oval. Don't think he can quite get there. Does the 60 chop him off into the corner. No, 66 is going to try to throw it in. Brian Harvey. John Hickman Jr. slides up the racetrack, and he's going to lose a couple more spots. It's just that outside lane, you can't get it done. You just can't do it. 60's got up there, lost 2 spots, and here comes a couple more. 46, Mark Bratcher. Going to try to be the next guy to get around him. 44 also in tow. That is Glenn Campbell. Just does not stand a chance. He needs to find a spot in line. Can't get it done. And he continues to drop now. Again, John Hickman Jr. has started, and I keep saying this, but started outside row 1, and he has just dropped all race long on the outside lane. Can't get it done.
Nope, he can't, and it's tough. It's not easy. Sometimes these guys make it look easy, but it's really not. As we've got another little battle here between Scott Simley and Steve Gottschalk. Scott to the high side, Simley. We got Steve to the inside and Scott to the outside. It's now the 9 car. Bobby Terrell tries to put his 9th place car into the top 8 here as he'll get beside the Red Bull machine and battling going down the backstretch with Scott Stencil also in the mix. Another caution now out on the speedway in Texas.
Yeah, and the 35 machine of JOV around in turns number 3 and 4, and had a little bit of help. The 31 machine was right there on the back bumper, and they were going down there into the corner. That's Eric Arnold, and Eric Arnold's calling out the 35 on the radio, but that's the 35 looked sideways before Arnold got to him.
He did.
I think the 35 got sideways at the worst time, but I think even if he didn't get sideways, I still think that 31 might have caught him in that left rear. But in the end, 35, JOV ends up at the outside wall, and Eric Arnold scoots on out through turns 1 and 2 with a little bit of front end damage. Caution out.
Right at the halfway part of the race, as Jorge begins to slow down. Now, a couple of laps before that, Evan, I was watching the 35 car, and he actually got a little loose coming off the corner and nearly spun it out onto the backstretch. It saved it, and I think he's just battling at that time he had some right front fender damage. I think he's just battling an ill-handed race car, and this was kind of the results from it. He may have gotten a little bit aero loose. That's exactly what it looked like the air was just taken out from behind that spoiler as the leaders come down pit road to make what could be, if they stay continued in green flag, the final pit stop tonight. Let's see who wins the race off of pit road.
We still haven't really seen any two-tire strategy yet. Saw a little bit of it last week at Darlington. 94 of Brundy's once again will lead us down pit road, and as he leaves after a 4-tire stall, going to be the first car off of pit road as well. No change. It is going to be Brundy's up in the number 1 spot off of pit road again.
Absolutely. Let's see. The winner off of pit road again, like you said, Eric Brundy's, Adam Benefield, Thomas J. George, Dan Murray, Jonathan Cadell, Rhett McBride, Steve Gottschalk, Scott Simley, and Scott Stencil is your top 10. And Michael Gray pitted in the 21st position and comes out 11th. So he'll gain 10 spots there. He only took right sides. So caution still out on the speedway as pit stops have just been concluded. Rounding out the rest of the field here, 11th spot, like I just mentioned. 12th will be Mark Bratcher, Glenn Campbell, John Hickman Jr., Joey Gattina, Guy Snyder, Nathan Little sits 17th, Kevin Linden, Brandon Peterson is 19th. Jose Malbran is 20th. Nathan Bowers 21st. Ed Williams Jr., Brian Harvey, Jorge Ordonez Villages is 24th, and John Abbott in the 10 car will round out your top 25, and he is the last man on the lead lap. Now, interesting fact here, folks, Eric Arnold, who was just tied up in the accident with JOV, sits 26, one lap down. Brendan Mercer 7th after having some electrical issues. And then it's back to 28th spot where Jamie Moore ran 26 laps down before he called his night done. Jason White ended his race 29 laps ago. Aaron Grosskopf's night came to an end 52 laps ago. John Milwane pulled the cord on it 60 ago. Doug Manning 60 laps ago. And Keith Brooks Jr. said, you know what? I need to go spend time with the wife. He pulled the plug at 60 laps ago as well. 33rd spot for him tonight, Texas. End of segment 7 for some, or end of segment 1, race 7 for some of these drivers, but still up in the air for a points battle where it's between Eric Brundys in first, Rhett McBride, who's in second, 10 back, and you could throw Jonathan Caddell in there if you give me $5. He's sitting third, 21 back.
And how many times do we see it where it always comes down to this kind of situation, and no matter what, the guy that has to protect, the guy that's playing defense, runs and gets a max point day. And that's what Eric Brundys is on track to do right now. Has been up front since lap number 13 after he took the lead away from Dan Murray, who currently sits in 4th and has not looked back since. Getting ready for another race, started through 3 and 4. The lights are off atop the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car. Adam Betterfield going to be alongside Brundys on the front row. Pace car dives down to pit road. Brundys going to get on the gas right away. The green flag is going to fly. Back racing at the Texas Motor Speedway. Bumper-to-bumper traffic, 10-1 machine of Thomas George get there for the number 2 spot. Can't get it done. Benefield hangs on side by side for 6th.
And they have all single-filed themselves out coming into turn 3. How about that? Everybody gets in line, and now they're just going to try to pick and choose where they pass. And that's kind of what you have to do here at Texas. Let things get settled down the first 2 laps, and then go at it. And we'll see if people start to go up underneath, get some runs, that sort of thing. But for now, let's see who's got what, right?
Yeah, Rhett McBride sitting 6th, and he is looking up front in front of him at a bumper-to-bumper battle between Dan Murray and Jonathan Caddell. These guys not too far away from each other. 11 with a little bit of a run through 3 and 4. Can't capitalize coming off the corner. Going to have to stay in line and wait for another opportunity to try to make that pass on him. Side by side for position number 11. Glenn Campbell around the 46. Oh, he turns right into the 14. 46 of Bratcher sideways. He's going to go around. Oh, left the 8. Caution.
Big wreck. Couple of cars, big time torn up, Evan.
Couple guys just got through there.
Yeah, one getting through there, I believe, is going to be the Ed Williams Jr. machine.
Bratcher just didn't see him there on the inside. And again, we talked about how crucial it is to get down in line, and just turned right into the 14 machine, trying to scoot on by of Joey Chitina, and got sideways. And that's right when we went on with him. And the 27 of Snyder, wow, sneaks by, but 78 unable to do so. And Brandon Peterson in the wrong place at the wrong time once again. Caution going to fly as the 46 in pit road. And looks like that car pretty much on fire. The engine is obviously toast.
You're not kidding, Evan.
On that machine. Yeah, he is... his night's done, and I feel like the 78 of Peterson got collected in something earlier too. He's down on pit road. The engine is not totally destroyed, like the other machine that was involved in that, but obviously him down for repairs. And we listed off a whole bunch of guys that have damage. In reality, a lot of guys still in contention for this. Again, 33 started the race, and right now as they sit. Cars that are actually on the racing surface on the lead lap, 23. So still a fair amount. There's a couple guys at the tail end of the lead lap come in to make a pit stop here again past the halfway point, and we're going to step away for a quick commercial break. It's still Eric Brundy's trying to hold on to the Segment 1 championship and still hanging on to the number 1 spot in this race. We will have more for the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series from Texas Motor Speedway after this.
Back here where we are still pacing. Texas Motor Speedway, Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, sponsored by Gary Mercer Trucking, presented to you by MW Productions. Race 7 is over halfway in the books as Eric Brundy still continues to lead the race, and with that being said, he continues to lead the point standings, and the only man that's close enough really to attack that position and to attack that lead is Rhett McBride, and Rhett McBride, currently on the racetrack, is following some. He's back in 6th.
That's kind of been the zip code that he's been hanging out in all night, is just behind the number 5 spot in 6th. And again, at the start of the race, he started in 4th, so you could argue that he's lost a little bit of distance throughout the race, as now we are about 10 laps past the halfway point. And actually, when we go green flag racing, is going to be 50 laps to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Once again, 120 laps on the board for this evening, 70 down so far for the final race of the first segment in the 2014 Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, presented by Gary Mercer Trucking, and live every Monday night on MW Productions. Once again, we're getting ready for that restarting, and the lights have been extinguished atop the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car. Eric Brundy's dominant is all you can say, and he's looking to lock up that Segment 1 championship, and he's got to nail one more restart coming up.
And here we go. Green flag in the air. Lap 70 has just been completed here at Texas Motor Speedway. Again, over the century point in tonight's event, race 7, as Eric Brundy has pulled off to another great, fabulous lead, as now the 85 Adam Benefield looking up underneath Thomas J. George down the backstretch. The blue and black machine now working underneath him, as the orange pumpkin of George works the outside, and here comes Jonathan Cadell in the 11 car, the Navy Cadet.
He's going to go at it. Thomas George is going to have the advantage at the stripe, but the 11 of Cadell obviously going to get it here into the corner. You see how aggressively Thomas J. George wants to get back in line and almost gets right back to the bumper of Cadell. He does not want to waste any time there on the outside lane. Meanwhile, behind them, single file throughout the rest of the top 10, and all the way back to 20th right now. Single file for the time being. A couple of guys trying to shuffle their position. One car sideways, the 14 of Joey Jatina, able to hang on after a little bit of problems there, but maybe side by side, Rick McBride trying to find a way around Dan Murray. Those guys sitting P5 and 6 right now inside the top 10.
Yeah, and Evan, at what point do you make you run towards Eric Brundage? I mean, you know, so far he's had some great restarts, but at what point, if Adam Benefield can catch him here, at what point do you really start to think, I need to go ahead and try to attempt to pass him now? Because if I don't now, I may run out of room or run out of time later. And I only say that because Eric is he's just so good on the restart. So if we have a caution late in the race with 3-4 laps to go, it took you 15 to catch him. You don't have that much time left. You got to go. Now is the time to go.
Yeah, especially because he's been so strong at a restarts. Even if you have a slower car, you can still win this race. You just need to get around him on a restart and don't let him pull away. Adam Benefield, he's trying. He's hanging in there, but he's slipping. Brundage had a 0.3 of a second lead that last time by the stripe, and as they both work now through 3 and 4, and coming off the corner is race leader Eric Brundage. We're going to see what that gap has amounted to, and this time by the stripe is going to go from 0.3 to 5. It's too late now. Benefield started to lose ground. If he has a faster car, he can try to chip away at it, but by all indications, Brundy's the fastest. You need to try to get around him right on one of these restarts, maybe force a bobble, get him a little bit loose, hope for a caution. That way you are the control car on the restart. Try to check out, hope that guy in third gets in front of him, maybe holds him up. But right now, Eric Brundage, as long as he can stay out front and nail those restarts, no matter how many laps are left to go, he's going to have this thing in the bag unless somebody can really nail a restart. If we stay green, I think the 94's got it. We have not seen a long green flag run. We've seen some of them in a range of about 15, 20 laps before a caution comes, maybe a little bit longer than that. If we go green to the end, it will be more than 40 laps. Who knows? Maybe the 94 will wear. He'll use him up a little bit too much. That could be a possibility, but again, that would have to mean that we have the longest green flag race of the night. Later in the race, when the racing is the most physical, I wouldn't bet on that.
Don't bet on anything. Don't bet on it. You know, we've seen at least 3 or 4 cars get wicked loose on their own. We've seen the treacherous turn 2 exit. Eric Brundage could have one of those nights, or he may not. You don't want to give him the MW jink, the Michael Woolley jink. Notice I said jink and not jinx. Jinx, yeah. Knock on wood, right? That sounded a little bit like mosswood. Was that mosswood or ivory wood?
I have no idea. I don't even know if it's real wood.
Particle board. Cardboard.
It was close enough. We did have a battle for 4th. And Dan Murray has been able to get that position. So he's going to move back up to 4th. Dan Murray, again, talked about him a little bit at the top of the race. Qualified on pole. Hasn't really dropped back, but hasn't really made a lot of noise. He's now back up inside the top 5 and just picked up the number 4 spot. Wonder if he'll become a factor later on here.
It's possible. Anything's possible here in Texas. Look back here with me. The 13th spot. The 14th spot there. Actually, the pack that's leading this pack here is the 9 car, Bobby Terrell, in the 8th spot, actually. He's leading a whole group of cars here that are all about single file. Oh, look at Brian Harvey put the block on the 41 car there as we speak. Just a couple of cars back from him. But that's a whole gaggle of cars right there. So if one guy gets into the wall, we could see remember that big wreck that happened earlier that took Grosskopf out and some of those other drivers? No one could have time to do anything. Oh,
hey, if something happens right around Gerald, these guys bumper to bumper, if anything, if they go to try to avoid it, they'll just make it bigger. Because they can't really see that much up in front of them. And this racetrack is hard enough to negotiate around. You're trying to dodge and leave cars, and it can turn exactly what you talked about there, what we saw earlier in the race, a 5-6 car pileup down the back.
Speaking of pileups, I got to go hit the concession stand. I got to get me one of these Texas Roadhouse burgers. As the 8 car, Michael Gray nearly spins it out in front of Nathan Bowers there. He'll gather it back up in that 17th spot. I'm going to go grab some hot dogs, get Evan some chocolate milk and some cookies, and Michael Woolley's been begging for some of that American fries. Not the French fries, but the American fries. We'll go get them and bring you back to live coverage at Texas Motor Speedway. You're watching Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series on the MW Production Studios.
Hi, I'm Todd Malmstrom, driver of the 75M Ford Mustang GT. This is what I do by night. And this is what I do by day. I sell new Fords, and I've got the best selection of used inventory that you could ask for. Come see me down here at Central Ford.
Are you tired of getting hassled at the dealerships? Looking for a salesman that knows what he's talking about? Are you looking to buy a new or used car? Then look no further! Sexton Ford Moline, Illinois has the biggest selection of new or pre-owned vehicles, and Todd Malmstrom is the salesman you want. Todd is an expert when it comes to cars, and if you don't believe me, then you should see him race on a Sunday night. With his top-notch professional customer service and expertise, he will make sure you go home in the right car for the right price. No hassle, no haggling. Todd will make sure that you're happy when you leave the lot with your new or pre-owned vehicle. Remember, Sexton Ford may be the talk of the town, but so is Todd Malmstrom. If you're in the market for a new ride, then buy one from a winner. Todd Malmstrom at Sexton Ford Moline.
And we're back live at Texas Motor Speedway as promised, where there's been 87 laps now completed. And Eric Brundy's lead has been diminishing ever so slightly. Adam Benefield, the man out of the Mid-South area, is in second, and he's about ran him down. This is where you reach that point in the race, Evan, that I talked about. You got to do it now. You can't be easy back here. You got to pull up behind the rear deck lid of Eric and do the old bump and run.
He's not going to have a lot of opportunities to try to play around, try to make that move, and if you mess up, you drop back. There's not a lot of time to lose that position and then try to make that ground back up. You're only going to have a couple shots at this thing if we stay green, and we talked about how strong Brundy's has been on restarts. Benefield has to make this pass as soon as he can so that if a caution were to fly, he will be the control car on the restart. Because if he gets this close, again, he could not get to Brundy's right away. It took him a couple laps, just like one of the scenarios you mentioned. 15 laps or so, you're not going to have time in a late race restart. This is where you got to make it count. He's lost a little bit of ground there. Currently sitting, though, he's stalking to right. What a great run there through turn 3, and now they get to 4, and that car length lead has been cut down from 2 to maybe 3/4 of a car length, half a car length. Down now into turn number 1, Adam Benefield putting on the pressure for the number 1 spot.
Oh, he definitely is. Look at him. He's there. Not even a cat hair. Oh, as the 85 gets a little bit loose. Look at the lap car going way down low. Brennan Mercer to avoid that, getting out of the way. The 85 of Adam Benefield now sets up another mounting charge coming off of 4 with a run. Here he comes. Will he pass him on the front stretch at Texas in front of the crowd?
Does the 94 block to the inside, goes Adam Benefield side by side. Into turn number 185 on the inside, he's going to get it. Eric Brundys gives him the room on the inside lane. Adam Benefield trying to pull this one out. After starting in 10th, has been able to pass Brundys. Nobody's been able to do so for about the past 80 laps. And the 85 machine of Benefield comes at a turn 4. He's going to lead lap 93 and going to go to P1.
How about that? And you know, you gotta sit there and think, if I'm Eric Brundys, Evan, I'm not going to try to aggressively seek out, you know, the win here, because I could win the segment 1 here if I can finish in front of Rhett McBride at least by 10 spots. So, and by no means necessary does Eric Brundys have to contend for the win here to actually get the win in the segment here. So, but kudos to the 85 car. I mean, that's not easy coming up passing Eric Brundys like that. It wasn't like Eric completely laid over, but I think Eric realized that what the 85 accomplished in just catching him.
Again, Brundys has a lot more to lose if something were to happen with these guys when you talk about the championship battle. Rhett McBride, who was hanging out 6th, we said he kind of settled there. He's up to 3rd. And in the number 20 machine, so again, entering tonight. However, Rhett McBride 10 points behind Eric Brundys. Brundys has picked up a lap lead and has led the most laps, so give him 2 bonus points. He probably has somewhere in the range of a 13-point lead, as McBride's still a position back on the racetrack right now. So again, Brundys is doing what he needs to do to protect his championship. A win would have been nice, but he's doing what he needs to do, and he's making it work right now. No need to force the issue. You get in an incident with Adam Benefield. Benefield's in here to get that checkered flag. You race him a little hard, you try to block, you get taken out, you drop back to 22nd, which is the first car 1 lap down, and McBride walks away with the segment 1 win.
Absolutely, of course. A lot to lose on the line for Eric Brundys. Look back here, the battle for 11th and 12th. Steve Gottschalk, Scott Simley. Side-by-side action as Gottschalk takes it over. Now the 41 car, Nathan Little, Mr. Excitement tonight at Texas, now goes up underneath the 68 of Simley. Oh! Rubbing doors with the Red Bull machine. It is Nathan Little. Now Scott Simley is going to peek back underneath, but run out of real estate as that got awfully close.
And it looked like Simley was going to want to go in there and send a message to Nathan Little. In 3 and 4, looked like he tried to throw it in there. He's going to throw it in again and get right to the bumper. Not quite, as Scott Simley has to maintain where he is, and that is the number 13 position right now. The 41 in front of him after they nearly made contact going down into turn number 3 as Simley came off the wall. That is the 41 and Nathan Little sitting 12 just in front of him. At end of 60 machine of John Higby Jr. again qualified second, dropped the back, and has really not been able to make up any of the positions that he has lost in this race, sitting 14th with those 3 guys. Adam Benefield has opened up a 4/10 of a second lead over Eric Brundys, and they have more than 2 seconds to the 3rd place car. So top 2 check it out, but Adam Benefield trying to lock this thing up, and this time by the stripe, lap 101 and 20 laps to go at the Texas Motor Speedway.
And with that said, we're going to take our second to last commercial break here on the MW Productions. You're watching Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. Hopefully, we'll bring you back to the green flag great racing here on the Monday nights.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Back live here racing at Texas Motor Speedway where nothing has changed. We're still green flag racing and your leader is still Adam Benefield, of course, making that pass on Eric Brundy's, and he has opened up somewhat of a gap, at least half of a turn away is the lead, as Rhett McBride has meanwhile started to close in the gap to second place Eric Brundy's. So interesting scenario building up here, closing in on the last race of the segment here at Texas, but Eric Brundy's would have to fall somewhere in the neighborhood of about 15 to 16, 17 spots, Evan, to maybe lose this. And, I mean, right now 19 are on the lead lap. So, I mean, he would nearly have to go all the way back there to maybe be out of this. And Rhett would still have to finish up there either in second or third.
But we have seen stranger things happen. And again, that's the one thing that makes it interesting is, you know, you get down to, we talked about Jonathan Goodell being a long shot at the championship, 21 back. Again, you don't take everybody else off the racetrack and have those three guys battle at it. Right now, again, 19 cars in the lead lap. You want to focus in on the top two. There's 17 other cars. Nobody knows what's going to happen with them. You know, we've seen guys lose the steering or lose the handle on it, go right into a wall, take somebody out. Who knows? And that's really why Brundy's gave Benefield so much room. Didn't try to squeeze him down, didn't try to over-force the issue and try to hang on to number one spot. He was able to let him go on by, not really drive the car super hard right now, and actually Rhett McBride has closed in on Eric Brundy's. It won't matter if Rhett McBride does get around Brundy's, because again, Brundy's has the most laps led, he has the lap lead, and he comes into tonight with a 10-point lead. So doing what he needs to do right now, I don't think he's going to put up much of a fight if this 20 or McBride tries to make a move. So I think that 94 may be sliding back to third here not too long to err on a little bit of a side of caution as Rhett McBride starts to peek to the inside. Not yet, not going to give him the line yet, but about a half a car length separating these top two in the championship standings going in through 1 and 2.
Itching so ever closely to the first win of his career in the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series is Adam Benefield in the 85 car. But look at the battle here for second again as Rhett McBride may start to lose that position once more, where Eric Brundy's has put his Pennzoil Ford here underneath him, and he's really going after it here, Evan. This is kind of surprising. Two guys that's in first and second in the points hashing it out here late into the race with about, 8 to go?
And Eric Brundy's has dropped back now to what is the number 3 spot, which has allowed Rhett McBride to get in front of him, which closes that point gap to somewhere in the range of 11 or 12 points, again, including bonus points that would have to be given to Eric Brundy's up there, as he had a stellar night up there leading laps and getting the job done and really putting himself in a position where he can take it easy here in the closing laps. Now, if he were to drop off the lead lap, which is about 20th, championship would go to Rhett McBride in the 20 car. Question is, can Rhett McBride maybe chase down Adam Benefield? 9/10 of a second, coming in on 6 laps to go. That would be a pretty big heat, and Benefield actually puts a 10th on McBride, so does not appear that there will be any sort of challenge for the lead, as that 85 looking pretty stout and maybe able to almost sneak away with this win here, as all the talk was about Brundys and how dominant he was. And next thing we know, again, Benefield got up to second on a restart. Didn't really look like a major contender coming off a restart, but found the speed. And he's setting sail up in the front of the field. 5 laps to go around Texas Motor Speedway for the win.
5 laps to go, and what a battle it is back here in 16th spot. Nathan Bowers, Joey Gattina in the 53 car of Jose Malbrand. Joey making things interesting as he went underneath Malbrand there for the passes. Now he works on Nathan Bowers with him up high, and here comes Jose in the 53 machine coming up underneath the 03 car. Look at this 3-way battle here with 4 laps to go.
And Joey Gattina right now, the big winner, 53 out of the inside. Jose Malbrand trying to get around the 03 of Nathan Bowers. Bowers on the outside, going to drop back and lose that spot. And these are the last guys on the lead lap battling for this. Jose Malbrand in the 53 has moved up to 17th. Nathan Bowers goes back to 18th as 18 drivers remain on the lead lap on the racetrack right now. Adam Benefield, 6/10 is the gap between first and second. Rhett McBride trying to close the gap this time by. Scoring's going to update 4/10 at 3 to go. This could turn into a show all of a sudden, guys. Rhett McBride closing fast.
Oh, and he's coming. Rhett McBride is on a mission.
Wow, look at the run attitude.
Is he there or what?
I think Rhett McBride may be able to pull this out. I said, will there be a battle? And I saw Benefield pick up a 10th of a second back-to-back. Look at this thing. Here comes Rhett McBride. This is where you're going to see the blocking. 2 laps to go, 2/10 of a second, and 2 car lengths separate the top 2 of the 20. Wow, he throws it in there, gets on the apron. 85 of Benefield going to come up the corner. The 20's got the speed. Can the 85 throw the block on him?
Oh boy, we're about to find out and witness probably the greatest race at the Texas Motor Speedway with the white flag in the air right now. As it stands, the 85 car, Adam Benefield looking for victory lane. The 20 car, Rhett McBride, looking for the same as they go down in turn 1 and turn 2. You couldn't stick half a car length between them. Here comes McBride.
To the top. Can he get it done side by side? Rhett McBride keeps it out of the wall. Door to door. Down the back straightaway. However, he's on the outside. He throws it deep. The 85 of Adam Benefield is going to have the preferred lane. It's going to be door to door off the corner through the quad oval to the stripe. No contact. Rhett McBride gets the checkered flag by 9/1000ths of a second.
Unbelievable. It looked like Rhett McBride got just into the back of Adam Benefield coming off of turn 2, but it wasn't enough. Adam throwing up maybe a block, but maybe not. Who knows? And it will be the victor. Rhett McBride at the line of the Great American Speedway. I couldn't think of a different way to end it tonight, as Rhett McBride really put that 20 car right on the mark, buddy. I'm telling you, if you're Adam Benefield, you've got to be thinking, gosh, that close.
It's the gap between the front of the front tire there on the body to the nose is the distance. And again, did we see anybody pass anybody on the outside all night long?
It's the gap that you could kick it's the gap between the 2 front teeth you could kick a field goal through.
The only pass that I saw all night long on the outside lane, and it's the final one for the win. And Rhett McBride had to throw it to that outside at a turn 2 and kicked it sideways, kept it off the wall, kept it off of Benefield, was able to do it once again in 3 and 4, threw it in there. Adam pulled up even with them, but it was the run down the hill, and they kept it clean. There was no contact, and Rhett McBride, again, was able to squeak it out by less than 100th of a second. It was 9/1000ths, the gap, and it is going to be Rhett McBride not going to get the championship for the segment 1. Brundys comes home 3rd, but after Rhett McBride was probably sitting there in 6th all night long thinking that he doesn't want to lose the race and have Brundys win the championship, Rhett McBride makes up a 2nd in the closing 6-7 laps and pulls it out for the checkered flag.
And speaking of running down the hill, we got some running down the hills to do ourselves, Evan, as we got to get ready to talk to the guys who finished in the top 3 tonight. We're going to take you to the commercial break, and after that, post-race interviews at Texas Motor Speedway with a wrap-up of Segment 1 in the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. We'll see you back here just shortly.
DGVertec.net's primary goal is to provide you with a successful website presence. They have purpose-built their web servers successfully throughout the years. The stress testing has been done so that they can provide you with an enhanced web hosting technology that they design for using future standards today for tomorrow. They offer 24/7 support for all web hosting plans. Their team answers support tickets 24/7. So if you have a problem at any time, an agent will be more than happy to help you. If you're not satisfied with your service within 7 days, then you can get a full money back guarantee with a 99 uptime guaranteed as well, with plans for shared hosting starting at just $2.95. It's clear to see why DGVertec should be your choice for web hosting. Just go to www.dgvertec.net today, your web hosting solution.
Back live where we just had one exciting finish in the Great American Speedway. Couldn't have picked a better way to end segment 1 in the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. And I have just caught up with a third place finisher, Eric Brundys. Eric, let's talk first about that fourth place starting position here tonight at Texas. It looked great for you earlier on. You'd get the good restarts when you got the lead, and you held on to it. Let's just jump straight into that. You held on to it until late in the race where you just couldn't wheel it anymore.
Oh, yeah, we were great in the short runs, and, I felt like if we had kept getting the yellows pretty regularly, we were going to hang on because we were able to get pretty good restarts every time, but, the car just went away in the long run, and, I knew it'd be tough to hold off Adam if we got a green run, and that's exactly what happened, but I don't know, we're pretty happy with third.
And of course, Eric, being as, you probably didn't want him to squeeze by you, but we talked in the broadcast that possibly you may have had other things in mind, and of course, unofficially winning the segment 1 of the Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series. Wow, talking about being Mr. Consistent. Hey, quit being so greedy. You've already got your 1 win. You've got 5 top 5s and 5 top 10s. Come on.
Yeah, it's been a good start to the season. I'm still kind of disappointed over last week. We really good and dominant at Darlington, and just got into the wall a few too many times. But yeah, today was good, and I like Texas is actually one of the 1.5 milers that I like, so it was good. I knew we'd run pretty well, and just hope we would have got a few more yellows. I think with the track position, getting the good restarts every time, we probably wouldn't be able to hold on to it, but I don't know, it's still a good run for us.
And last but not least, Eric, of course, always, who makes it happen with the team?
I just want to thank my teammates, John, Nathan, and Brennan, just for being supportive, sitting TeamSpeak with me, and all you guys for a great broadcast. It's really great. Really enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, no problem. There you have it, folks. Third place finisher of the 94 machine, Eric Brundys, and your unofficial champion of the Segment 1 Real Sim Racing Full Throttle Cup Series live on the Monday nights. And now, catching up with Adam Benefield, the 85 machine, Evan Pasoko.
And it is 9 1/1000ths of a second that is going to come between Adam Benefield and the checkered flag here at the Texas Motor Speedway. Adam, come home second. First of all, talk us through there, running around, being able to get around Eric Brundys, who was up in the number 1 spot at the time, and then those last couple laps, you knew Rhett was there, he threw it to the outside. What was that like, that race coming out of the checkered flag?
I thought I was good on the long run. Not as good as Red, but that's all I needed was a long run to get up there with Eric, and I was able to come off 2, just to come off the corners 2 and 4 a little bit better than Eric, and I got under him and just started, that clean air really opened up for me, and until I started seeing Red creep up, and honest to God, I felt like Dale Jr. a few weeks ago, Brad Keselowski coming with that Ford. But no, I come out of turn 2 on the white flag lap, and I figured Rhett would try to take the inside, so I was gonna make him give him the outside, and I figured I could hold him off, but I guess I was wrong. Got a good run, I thought, coming off Ford, and just didn't have the horsepower I guess the Ford had.
He definitely, with about 7 laps to go, we talked about the possibility of him being able to catch you, and you put a 10th on him there, and we said that you were going to be able to walk away with this thing, and then he got that big rush of speed and was able to get it. But overall successful night for you, qualified in 10th, and then you got up to that 2nd spot there on that late race restart, which put you in the position to get around Eric. How'd you get up there?
Just keeping the nose clean. I still haven't figured out this open qualifying deal, but we're working on it, and hopefully we'll get better at it and just stay clean, and long runs is really what helped us.
And definitely, put on a show for sure, and one of the most exciting finishes, I think the closest finish that we saw here in the first segment, so a fitting way to finish off these first 7 races. Do you have any sponsors, shout-outs, teammates that you want to thank? The mic's all yours.
Yeah, I want to thank Steel Horse Racing, Dan Murray and Jonathan Cadell. They were top-notch teammates, man. Can't ask for much better. Roll Speed Dynamics, I Can't Design, and all my family, God, friends and family that back me, and I want to, even though I didn't win, I do want to give this run. I got my father-in-law's in the hospital, not doing too good, so I'll give this run to him.
Definitely all our thoughts and prayers definitely with you and your family. Congratulations on the top 2 finish. You put on a show, and hopefully we'll see it here another time battling for the lead up front.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to it.
That is Adam Benefield, the 85 machine, going to come home second to Rhett McBride. He's standing down there, or actually Keaton, I guess you've caught up with him down there in the victory lane.
Yeah, I have. We've kind of been joking about it here a little bit. Rhett, with just by the length of Adam's apple, you win at Texas.
Yeah, I tell you what, Batman, that was fun, man. First off, I just want to say, how much I appreciate Adam and Eric and all the guys that I was racing around tonight, man. That was some just top-notch, first-class, racing up there. I mean, we were running hard, but everything was fair. And I knew I was going to have to get it done on the top side. you know, because Adam, he knew that the fast line was on the bottom, and he gave me the outside, and I just had to mat it and hope it stuck. It did.
Absolutely it did. Now, Red, it wasn't easy. You had to chase Eric down, and then you had to chase Adam down. What's going through your mind? I know that you had a chance to win tonight as well. It wasn't all Eric Brundy's to have been won tonight in the segment 1 race tonight. But what's kind of going through your head? Obviously getting past Eric, but did the thought ever cross your mind, you know, hey, I hope somebody, you know, gets into Eric's left rear quarter panel and spins him up the track?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, I don't
You know,
want to do it that
record,
way. Well, between me and you, absolutely. I wish somebody would put him in the wall, but you know, no, I'm just messing. No, I was watching him, and he was getting just. I mean, he was flying on the short runs, and you know, we were decent, but I was trying to save my stuff. You know, I knew we'd be better in the long run, and you know, the tire management here is huge. I mean, it's not that big a deal for the first 25 laps, but after that, you start falling off big time. And I knew if we could just get a long run, and we got strung out, that I had a chance to pick them off, you know. But I was a little worried there at the beginning. I mean, Eric was just bad fast right off the, right off the fire. He was gone. But you know, I was just hoping that I could save my stuff long enough and go get him at the end.
Well, you did earn your first pole tonight, but obviously you'll have to wait until second segment season, if you will, to Richmond next week, where we start segment 2, to maybe get your first win of the 2014 Full Throttle Cup Series. But with that said, talk to us just briefly about segment 2's start at Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, you know, typically I don't really run that great in the first part of the season. I don't know. I'm just it takes me a while to get going, I guess. So I'm glad I got a win out of the way here tonight. You know, that's definitely helps us and locks us into the chase. We got some really good tracks coming up. I love Richmond. I'm looking forward to it because I hate to say it, but this was the last night we'll be running the Fords. RDSR and all my teammates, we're moving to Toyota. So next Monday night this time we'll be in a Toyota, and I got a special night scheme to break it out, so I'm looking forward to that. And so yeah, we're looking forward to Richmond. There's some good tracks coming up for me. I like the schedule, and as we get deeper into it, I got some really good tracks coming up.
And of course, you mentioned some of that. Anyone else you'd like to thank or throw out your sponsors tonight?
Yeah, I just want to thank GT Omega Racing for sponsoring me. Want to thank Ford. We had good runs with 4 cars. We're going to move to the Yoda and see if we can't do some good with that. I want to thank all my teammates at RDSR, Mark Bratcher, Brandon Peterson, and John Langley. Brandon and Mark had a little bad luck tonight, but they had a good run going up till then. I want to thank you guys up in the booth. Y'all do a great job, MW Productions. And I want to thank Real Sim Racing for putting all this together, all the admins. Putting up with what can be difficult work at times, but I think after, you know, when you put on a show like that tonight, I mean, that's what it's all about. It makes it all worthwhile. So thanks to John and Joey and Steve and all those guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rhett. That's Rhett McBride claiming his first victory at the end of segment 1. We'll see if he can continue the streak into next week at Richmond, where he runs the new paint scheme and the new car. And, of course, always joining me in the booth, Evan Pasoko, Michael Woolley down on pit road. And also, Michael Woolley, MW Productions, welcomes our 10,000th view on YouTube. And, of course, again, we'll see you next week at Richmond, segment 2. And, of course, where Eric Brundy's will finish third and will win segment 1. And Mr. Benefield's Adam Apple just wasn't quite long enough to beat that 20 car of Rhett McBride. We'll see you next Monday night.